The book of Hebrews is this letter that was written to the early followers of Jesus who were going through some really challenging times. They were facing persecution from the Roman government, but they were also facing difficult, challenging circumstances from their friends and from their family who were trying to pressure them to turn away from Jesus. And so the author of Hebrews, which we don't know who it is, but they write this letter encouraging these brothers and sisters and us to hold on to our faith in Jesus, come what may. To endure and to persevere, even if it is costly. And after building up this incredible theological framework for why Jesus is the Messiah and all of the things that he has done for us, through the cross and through the resurrection. The author reminds us in chapter 11 of these great men and women of faith who endured just like Jesus to the end. And then he writes these words in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. It says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Again, the author is writing to followers of Jesus who had come under pressure for their faith, who know many people who have given into that pressure and walked away from their faith. And this letter was written to them and to us to stay strong, to endure, to not give up, because God's future promises are greater than our present struggles. In fact, if I had to write a thesis sentence for the book of Hebrews, that would be it, that God's future promises are greater than our present struggles. And so he encourages them and he encourages us to keep going, to not give up or give in. And he compares our faith journey to running a race. In fact, that last part of verse 1 is kind of the crux of these three verses. Everything kind of flows from that, and everything in those verses leads towards that. He says, let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. And so since everything else builds on these words, let's study them just a little bit more so that we have a good understanding. The author says, let us run. How are we to run? With perseverance. And that word perseverance is written in the active voice, not passive, meaning that there is an effort and there is a struggle and there is a wrestling that happens as we live and as we follow Jesus, that it is not always going to be easy, but it is always going to be worth the fight. Our faith, as we live it out, especially in a world where more and more it seems like we are swimming upstream in a culture that is rapidly flowing downstream, it is going to cost us something. And the author wants to be clear about this. And so he uses that word for persevere 3 different times in these 3 verses. And it's translated persevere, endurance, and endure. And that word in Greek means to abide courageously. It's a beautiful word. Abide courageously. And so he says, let us run with perseverance. Let us abide in Christ courageously. But where are we running? What is our course? He says, the race marked out for us. That Greek word for race is agona. It's where we get our word agony. It's a struggle. It's hard. Man, there are times we want to give in and give up. But it's worth it. Jesus is worth it. the race has already been marked out for us, and we don't know the distance. We don't get to decide the difficulty. We just abide courageously through the agony, trusting and believing that God's future promises are greater than our present struggles. That is faith. It doesn't mean that it's all hard and awful. No, man, there's so much beauty and goodness in following Jesus, but it means that in those times where, man, not everything is okay. Those times when we feel like we can't put one foot in front of the other, that we can have confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. That is faith, defined in verse 1 of chapter 11.